Welcome back, movie fans, to another episode of Hollow Victories, where winning can't bring back your universe. I am your host, Matt Presents, joined as always by my co-host who was in the Amazon with my mother when she was researching spiders just before she died.
Hello, my name is...
Ticka Slim Shady. Sorry, and we are joined today by our resident comic book expert.
Hello, I am Olivia from Smash Pack. And it's like I run my channel. Well, I run my segment Out of Ink, and that's what I do. I talk about comics. Let's get going.
Yeah, and you're here because today we are talking about the Sony-verse, its death, its two final films, and the characters it is about, because these are not exactly popular characters.
No.
Like, Kraven the Hunter, I knew he's like a kind of known Spider-Man villain. Granted, he's kind of B-string, he's down there with, like, Mysterio. But Madam Web straight up had not heard of her before she got her own movie.
I didn't hear of either of them.
It's definitely understandable. Yeah, Kraven, yeah, does have the advantage of being like he's normally seen as a member of the Sinister Six, which gives him a little notoriety, and he's been there since roughly the beginning. He's been there since like the early the 60s, 70s, somewhere in there. But yeah, Madam Web is a bizarre case. It's like, while she does enjoy more longevity than you would think, her character is it's a very strange journey as far as that one goes.
I was thinking kind of recently, like, it's weird how much more diversity there is in, like, the Marvel characters who have gotten movies versus, like, the DC characters. And that's because, like, until recently, like, until Disney bought Marvel, the rights to Marvel movies were kinda up in the air for anyone. And that's even why these two films exist, is because Sony happens to have the rights to, like, a tiny fraction of Marvel characters.
Well, it's all the Spider-Man ones, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, like, DC has been owned by Warner Brothers, at least since the first Superman movie came out. And so they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna keep making Superman and Batman movies, because they're, like, the two most popular characters. Like, it took the DCEU for them to make, like, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash movies, even. Weirdly, though, like, when you look back, like, it is mostly Superman, Batman. They did get some deep cuts before the DCEU. There's, like, Swamp Thing, Constantine, and Steel movies, for some reason.
Yeah, and if you get into, like, the DC animated universe, it gets even deeper.
I mean, that's a whole, like, other thing.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I do definitely. I kind of appreciate that DC is just like, yeah, and also we're gonna keep producing animated movies kind of closely based on, like, popular comics.
Howard Hamlin is Two-Face, and that's amazing.
I think of you every time I see something about that, Michael.
Anyways, let's talk about Madam Web.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Madam Web's mother is in the Amazon studying spiders when the guy she's with turns on her and tries to take the spiders. But at the last second, she is saved by this like native tribe down there who are like the protectors of this very special spider. And they try to save her. They can't quite save her, but they save her baby because she's pregnant. And because of that, her baby is born with, like, strange powers, which don't seem to manifest themselves until she is an adult in the year 2003. You know it's 2003 because they immediately drive past a Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that she's an adult and a paramedic and partners with Ben Parker, she starts to have these, like, strange visions, and at first she doesn't really know what they are, but she seems to be able to predict the future, and, like, she kind of gets a redo on any of the stuff. She's like, ooh, this isn't the way that should go. Until eventually she makes the journey back to, like, South America, where she was born, and they they explain everything to her, and she gets like better control of her powers. And then she comes back to finish the job because she saves these 3 girls from this from the guy who killed her mother. Actually, it's the guy who killed her mother who now has all these wild spider powers, and he has seen a vision of the future where these 3 spider women team up and kill him. So he's trying to take them out while they're still teenagers. So she has basically been put in charge of saving these 3 girls from him. And now she, like, understands the Madam Web powers and, is a little more well-equipped to deal with that. Olivia, what did you think of Madam Web?
You know, it's gonna sound like funky, but I appreciated Madam Web because it actually did make me go in and like go dig and research some stuff, because I was like, okay, they keep dropping these names. Who are these people? And that ended up, I find that I always like when that happens, but I know for some people that's not fun. That's frustrating. But for me, I enjoyed it. At least I enjoyed that part. First off, the bad guy. His name is Ezekiel Sims. Ezekiel Sims is another spider-powered being who kind of got his same powers in a similar way to Peter Parker, and is essentially just this super rich dude who uses his spider powers to basically be a criminal. He's like, he was I think he was from the 90s and 80s, along with, and then with Madam Web, I just looked it up earlier when we were doing the intro. Madam Web was introduced in 1980, and most of her powers are actually pretty well grounded. Unlike other spider people, she doesn't have the strength or anything like that. But yeah, she does have the psychic abilities, which, as one of you guys pointed out, is basically the most advanced a spider sense can technically get.
Yeah, that was me.
Yep. And then, which is like this whole idea of her being able to see in the literal web of life, which is something that came up in the 80s but got really expanded upon in recent years with like Spider-Verse. And then the big one is that all of the girls in the movie, the 3 girls, Anya, Julia, and Maddie, are all spider girls or spider women in various capacities. Anya Corazon had a run as Spider-Girl that lasted for quite a few years, actually. If you've ever seen a Spider-Girl with a black and white costume and a ponytail, that's Anya. Maddie Franklin was another was a Spider-Woman. She enjoyed a very limited run in the 90s before being tragically killed. She's actually J. Jonah Jameson's niece.
I recognize her from Spider-Verse. That character was also in the newest Spider-Verse.
No, actually, they did swipe her design, but she's not the same character, I believe.
Okay, well, I recognize the suit.
Yeah, no, they did. I'm not entirely sure if actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, if the Spider-Woman featured in the Beyond the Spider-Verse is supposed to be the same, because, like I said, Maddie Franklin died horribly and was very young still in the canon universe, so I guess maybe it could be. Her run, I have read a couple of her books, and they are really weird. So, because it was just like they kind of didn't know what to do with her. And then Julie was another Spider-Girl. Her design comes from, I believe, actually the Spider-Girl spinoff, where it was about Peter Parker's daughter. But her character is in the main universe, and she eventually goes on. She is the current Madam Web. So it's...
When I saw her suit, I thought she was supposed to be the Black Cat.
I could see
because I recognize the Black Cat from like other Spider-Man stuff.
Technically, it's kind of Black Cat was planned for the Sony universe after Kraven, but that's not happening anymore. At least that was the rumor. She actually did make an appearance though in the Sony movies. At least her alter ego did, because they reference her. The secretary Felicia in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is believed to be Felicia Hardy, also known as Black Cat.
Interesting.
Anyway, getting back to the movie, this one was like, at least, I don't know. What did you guys think? I'm very curious to hear what you guys thought about this.
I respect where you're coming from with it being like, oh, it's like kind of a gateway to learn more about something you're interested in. Because I've certainly had that with other franchises. With this movie itself, like, because I've had that with, like, I watch something that I don't like, but it makes me curious to look into it more. That kind of happened with Fantastic Four, actually, if I'm being honest. I watched 4 bad Fantastic Four movies, and then one of them was okay. But then I was very curious to check out this newest movie because of that. This, though, like, definitely didn't sell me on any of these characters. Not saying they're bad. Not saying they're bad in the comics they're initially from. Obviously, the Sony-verse is a mess, but nothing in this movie would ever make me want to follow any of these guys again. I was just disinterested the whole time, and then on top of that, I just think it's like, God, it's so poorly. It's such a bad edited film. I think that's like one of my biggest issues with it is it's just like it's trying to be really flashy and intense, and it comes off as really confusing and boring in some scenes, and then in other parts it's just like laughable. You know, it's not a well put together film. It is funny to see that there were like literally like Dakota Johnson was like almost kind of defending herself as this movie came out. Like there are people who worked on this that didn't want to be associated with that, and that's not fun for anybody. But I definitely think it could be interesting in terms of like, hey, these are characters that are finally being adapted into film, but it's also like, God, couldn't it have gone to something better though? I think that's the cool thing about Spider-Verse is that there's so many like bizarre versions of these characters being thrown in, you know.
That thing you're talking about where it's like, oh, this makes me want to like look into the comics a little more. Spider-Verse absolutely does that. Madam Web, like,
oh no,
I mean, I'm curious how different the comics are from the movie, but like the movie doesn't inspire anything in me. This is just it's a mess kind of start to finish. It does have some like pretty funny moments. Mm-hmm. I was at least like laughing at this one occasionally, but I think it's kind of a mess of a film.
You know, I think they honestly could have utilized this is like kind of a different topic. I think they could have utilized her ability a little better too, with her being able to see the future in like quick scenarios. Like there's one part I actually really liked with that where they first get off the train and she walks one way and she sees reality where she is arrested, and then she quickly turns the other way. It's like that's a quick in the moment reaction. I wish they had more stuff like that, you know, like her like analyzing just like tiny details, but that's really the only part of the movie where they like get that specific that quick, you know, where it's not like oh, this is the result where everyone dies, you know. I wish they would do more small things like that.
It would have definitely shaved off some runtime.
I think it would be interesting to like constantly have to like, you go this way, it's about like, imagine a scene where it's like, you go this way, horrible result, okay, go this way, even worse result, okay, well I guess we have to go with this way now, you know, like we have to go with this one, at least it's not this, like that could be interesting, you know. I feel like there's ways to play with it where they didn't play with it.
I feel like I have seen movies like that.
To a small, I love this movie, to a small extent Unbreakable does that, but it's not quite the same.
I was thinking more of like the Nick Cage film Next, where he can like see into the future like a little bit.
There's that Rick and Morty episode with the death crystal, which shows you how you're gonna die, and Morty uses that to determine his actions.
Oh yeah. Also, like this is not an example of doing it quickly, but an example of like changing the future is Run Lola Run, which I showed for movie night.
That's a good movie, yeah. I think that it feels like a movie where maybe there was someone initially who had an idea, and then it's like, I use this term a lot often on Hollow Victories lately, is just the phrase too many cooks. It feels like there was maybe an idea there that was decent, and then there's so much shit thrown in, and it became unrecognizable.
I feel like this was like, okay, which characters do we own? Oh, Madam Web, she falls under this, like, Spider-Man umbrella. And like, you compare Madam Web to, like, all of the other Sony-verse movies, and they're all villains. It's Venom and Morbius and Kraven the Hunter. Madam Web's the only, like, hero that got her own movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very interesting. If they did have access to the entire Spider-Man library, they had much technically easier characters to adapt that could have been a lot more interesting. But it's one of those things of like, because yeah, they could have, there's like, heck, like we said, even like if it was like a heist film with Black Cat, if you had to stick with the villain thing, you could have stuck with, if you wanted to dig deeper, you could have gone, there's a character named Wraith, who's a vigilante that often works with Spider-Man. I'm assuming they would have had access to her as part of their lexicon. And she's a little bit popular because she was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, not Amazing Spider-Man, the Spider-Man 2 Insomniac game. And it's like, or they could have gone through any of the characters that might have shown up in Spider-Verse, and that would have been way, way easier.
Yeah. I mean, even just doing like a Spider-Man 2099 with Miguel. Did I get that year right? It's
You did.
Spider-Man the Future. 2099, great.
Yeah.
Perfect. They could have done something with Miguel.
I personally would have loved that because I kind of feel like, as much as I love the Spider-Verse movies, I kind of feel like they did Miguel just like the tiniest bit dirty, like comparatively to his comic.
I mean, he is kind of the antagonist now.
He is, but honestly, his behavior in the comics, even when he's being a good guy, he's kind of antagonistic because he's kind of one of those dudes who's too smart for his own good, and he believes he's the smartest dude in the room because he usually is. And that gets him in a lot of trouble. It's like, so that would have been interesting. And it would have been interesting to build into like this whole, like, because 2099 is like a cyberpunk hellscape style future. And that would have been fun to play with. But I don't think Sony could or would have committed the budget to it.
No,
I
maybe
mean, more
not.
than likely probably would have gotten another time travel story like Madam Web, I guess.
I mean, like, it's set in 2003, but I honestly kind of kept forgetting that it was set in 2003 even.
Well, yeah.
Because, like, so little even actually ties into that.
It is such an irrelevant piece of information.
I mean, I feel like it's because in this movie we get the birth of Peter Parker, even though they absolutely pussyfoot around actually calling him Peter Parker. They're like, oh yeah, Peter Parker was born in 2003, so now he is old enough to be Spider-Man in the modern day.
Can I just say, I think one of the things that bothers me the most about the movie is that you get that it's a mix of that tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, here's the reference where we're not going to say it, which they kept kind of pushing with that whole Parker bloodline. But then you also then it's mixed with the origin story trope, like a lot of really tropey writing, like the whole thing of like the Cassie being convinced her mom didn't love her and like having to go through her like mommy issues the whole movie. It's like, but then it's like, of course it gets to like wait a minute, you weren't just in the Amazon because you loved spiders, you know?
Yeah.
And like all like, it's just like a bunch of really terrible superhero tropes and a bunch of just really bad like action movie or like writing tropes, period. I will give it though that it is laughable and it can be kind of enjoyable because it is kind of funny.
Yeah. Like, it's not like the funniest thing. I'm not like recommending this as a funny bad movie, but it is like kind of funny in places. While we're on the subject, like we should talk about like Adam Scott is Uncle Ben. Adam Scott is just blatantly Uncle Ben in this movie.
Yeah, like,
and then like there's a scene where he's like, oh yeah, I'm actually seeing someone, and Madam Web is like, oh, who is it, what's her name? But then he never says that it's May. And then they have the party where his sister-in-law is pregnant. It's Emma Roberts. And they're like, ooh, we're gonna play guess the baby name, but they never actually reveal that the baby is Peter.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah,
it's like, just fucking say it. Just say that this is Peter Parker and that Uncle Ben is dating May.
It makes it so much worse when they try to be like coy about it.
It's also kind of weird because like if that's Peter Parker, there's already a bad guy who used the Spider-Man suit and then 3 Spider-Women that predate him. Even like the Native Americans, they like kind of dress like Spider-Man.
Yeah, like a lot of like red and stuff. And it's just like this whole weirdness of now. Yeah, because I think I made a joke about like, oh yeah, who in New York is now going to be having like PTSD of this weird Spider-Man crawling around when like Peter
and
Parker
is,
starts
and is
being
not
Spider-Man.
gonna trust Peter Parker because
Right.
it's like, nah, I remember that bitch who ran around dressed like that.
Exactly, like we can't. Yeah, no, like, and then yeah, I think someone else was like, oh yeah, it's J. Jonah Jameson. That's why he's having a fit.
Yeah, no, I made the joke that it was J. Jonah Jameson
Yeah,
who was like traumatized by this spider guy and is not gonna trust Spider-Man when he eventually shows up.
Actually, side note, who do you? What do you guys think if Sony had decided to make a J. Jonah Jameson movie?
I mean,
if they got J.K. Simmons, it'd probably be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it still starred J.K. Simmons, I'd be in. If it starred anyone else, not so much. But I would watch J.K. Simmons just be J. Jonah Jameson for an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. 2 hours is pushing it, but an hour and a half, we're golden.
There's so much Pepsi product placement in this. Like, I almost wasn't going to call it out, and then the fucking climax takes place on top of, like, a glowing Pepsi-Cola neon sign, and there's even, like early on, she's having visions of the future, and she sees this giant neon S, and then it's like, oh, it's from the Pepsi sign, she had a vision of Pepsi. There's so, like, it's not quite Mac and Me with Coke, but it's like just below Mac and Me with Coke in terms of like absurd product placement in one of these movies.
I'm gonna say though, like the whole Power Rangers Krispy Kreme situation was blatantly shameless, but I kind of respect it for just how upfront and shameless it was about having Krispy Kreme be the product placement. But this one, yeah, no, I see your problem because it's like, yeah, like okay, come on now. At least like Krispy Kreme was kind of silly about it.
Early on, they're drinking Mountain Dew, and they make sure to always keep the Mountain Dew logo pointed to the camera, even when it switches shots. But then later, she gets like a Pepsi at the party, and she always keeps the Pepsi logo pointed to the camera. And I'm like, God, that's so blatant. And then the fucking climax on a fucking Pepsi sign.
I forgot about that.
No, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I was gonna say, I would love to hear you guys' most shameless product placement in movies sometime, but
My favorite one does come from a movie we did on the show, which is Mac and Me. That was with Pepsi's rival.
it was okay.
Yeah.
That was it. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was Coca-Cola in Mac and Me, where they bring an alien back to life using Coca-Cola.
Oh my god.
Do you want to talk about cast?
Yeah, let's do it.
We were kind of talking about Dakota Johnson, and, like, she's been in good stuff, but, like, she is in so much trash. She is on watch to come back.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I don't know, she's kind of an odd actress, and when you put her in the right role, that works out, but then you put her in something like this, and it's just like, what are you even going for here?
Yeah.
And I mean, she did try to distance herself from this, as you pointed out. She was kind of like, yeah, this wasn't my fault. Like, I kind of knew this one was a stinker, and I not taking credit for this one. Not taking the fall for this one. Although there was also, do you guys remember that, like, weird advertisement they put out with her talking, like, really sensually directly into camera about seeing the movie?
I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I've seen it, but I feel like I know what you're talking about for some reason.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe I heard something about it. I don't know.
I remember that. There was, like, a promotion that they posted to Twitter of her just, like, encouraging people to see it in, like, the most sexual way.
No, I didn't know. The only thing I know about her is her comments kind of against the movie.
Fucking Sydney Sweeney is in this movie. I was not prepared for that. She just kind of showed up.
She's got her career probably. I think like the thing is, she's become a bigger name since this movie came out for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think like a year ago when this was released, like she wasn't the name she is today. You know, probably not when they were filming it either. Because I didn't know much about her until like a year.
Yeah.
I don't, because this was early 2024, but like this was around the time she was becoming a big name.
I mean, I guess Euphoria was pretty big, but I don't remember. I don't remember hearing much about her from that. Like I remember hearing more about Zendaya with that show. I didn't see it.
I remember Anyone But You coming out, and everyone was kind of like, "Oh, it's the rom-com with that hot new chick, Sydney Sweeney." And then I went to see Immaculate when it came out last summer because conservatives were pissing their pants about that one. That's Sydney Sweeney's in some hot water, and the Republicans are really trying to claim her as like their girl. And I'm like, I remember a year ago when you were pissing your pants because she was in an abortion movie. So like, maybe fuck off.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that. I remember driving home from work and an ad for that movie was playing on over my YouTube because I was listening to YouTube on the way home. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was the trailer for Immaculate.
It was an interesting concept, but it was kind of a really generic horror film.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist I got, like the vibe I got from it. I feel like that was the first time I think I was aware of her name, or like aware like, oh, she's back. This is somebody who's coming up in the industry right now. Either that or Madam Web was the first time I was aware of of her name.
The other one, Isabella Mercedes, she's Hawkgirl in the new Superman
Oh, that's why she looked so familiar.
So
God damn it.
like, props to her for moving on past this. She was also Dora in that weird live action Dora movie.
Right.
Oh my god.
I will say I didn't like just like her, Isabella, and I think the other one is Celeste O'Connor. Didn't care for those three characters. Didn't care for most of the characters in this movie, but like it's like they didn't know how to write them. You know, like they're constantly like, well, why should we trust you? Oh, we should only like their bond with Madam Web specifically is bizarre because it doesn't feel like there's any natural reaction. It feels like these are all appropriate reactions to have to certain pieces of information, not the full picture. Where it's like, yeah, it is bizarre that you are hanging out with this older woman right now and the police are looking for you. At the same time, she proved that she is actually having these visions. I don't know, they're having like Sydney Sweeney's character have like, she's trying to be the polite girl, then the other two are both very snarky and just constantly like throwing shade at Madam Web's way, but at the same time Madam Web is horrible at explaining the situation and she's horrible at like kind of giving them an understanding of this. It's just like I didn't enjoy these four characters interacting off of each other like once in the movie, and I don't even know if I can blame any of the actors here because it's just a bad script. It's just a bad script.
Yeah,
No,
I second that.
I'm fully with you.
Sydney Sweeney, I don't know if what she's capable of because I haven't seen her in anything good, but I also haven't seen her in a lot. I know Euphoria is pretty heavily praised, and it says she's in that. I have heard it didn't stay good. I heard some people say it later on it got bad, but I did hear initially it was pretty well received. Dakota Johnson, I mean, she's in The Social Network. She's good in that.
She's in Suspiria.
I haven't seen the new Suspiria.
I really like her, and like that was what sold me on Dakota Johnson because I really only knew her for 50 Shades of Grey before I saw that, and I'm like, all right, Dakota Johnson, you're a decent actress.
Really? I didn't know she was in that one.
Google casting is so weird because they have Emma Roberts as the fourth person, and then Celeste O'Connor, who's a main character, is like the 20th person on this casting list. And I understand it's like Emma Roberts is like a pretty like well-known actress. Have you guys ever seen Emma Roberts? I'm not like I'm going to be a jerk here. Have you guys ever seen Emma Roberts do a good job? Maybe you have. Have you ever seen her do a good job? I want to know. I've always found her either been completely indifferent to her, or I do not think she is doing a good performance. I think she is someone who was like very good for like children's shows in the past.
I could not name something that I've seen her in, but then again, I don't watch like movies like the same way, like in the same frequency you guys do.
I'm kind of with you. It's like there are some movies where I don't think she's bad, but I can't name a single movie where I think she's good.
I don't even dislike her. I just like I've seen her pop up and stuff plenty of times, and most of it is like either I don't think it's good or it's like this is something that's for children and she did fine for what the assignment was. Like I remember that Hotel for Dog movies. I saw that with my sisters. And she's fine in that for what the movie's asking, but the movie's asking nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Emma Roberts is on high alert to return. And she is the second member of the Roberts family to show up. Her father voiced the talking cat.
Right.
In a talking cat?
We talked about that. Like I was like, he's been involved in a lot of stuff. I remember we had to talk about him specifically.
Eric Roberts is the king of the one-day shoot. It doesn't matter what movie you're making. It could be The Dark Knight, it could be a talking cat, and he'll be like, yeah, I'll shoot for one day.
Hey, Emma Roberts is like specifically like looking at her catalog. It's just like every single movie I watched with my sisters. Like I was watching it with them. It wasn't something I picked. Like Nancy Drew, especially Aquamarine. Oh my god, that was on nonstop. And I mean, like I don't have negative memories of these movies. It was always just the shit that my sisters were watching and I tolerated. But my mom and dad loved We're the Millers, so I saw her in that a lot. Like I don't think she's I think she's like
never seen that one.
I guess she's fine, but like I've never been wowed by her. But I can't say I've ever seen her where it's like, oh, this is shit, this is horrible. You made a video on The Hunt, didn't you?
I did, and she's barely in that movie. I don't even remember what she does in that movie. I think she's just one of the like random liberals in that movie.
Adam Scott as Ben Parker. I like Adam Scott in Parks and Rec. I hear he's very good in Severance. I don't know if I know him for anything else. I probably do if I actually looked into him. He is whatever in this movie. He does fine with what he's given, but he's given nothing. That's what I'm gonna say.
He's in Hellraiser Bloodlines.
How was that?
He is also on high alert to return. This is like a whole cast of people who like potentially could be back. Like I like Adam Scott. Like no disrespect to Adam Scott, he is in some trash.
Because it's one of those things of also, to be fair, Uncle Ben or Ben Parker as a character is alive rarely so long to really give you any character for him, aside from being like a fatherly type guy.
And I don't think he had much in this movie either. I don't really like him in this, but I also feel like I don't know how I could tell him to do the performance better. They gave him like nothing.
I asked you if Ben Parker was like a paramedic in the comics usually, and you're like, he's not usually alive long enough to have a job.
No, it's because it's true. Because it's one of those things of, I think even like when he first showed up, and I think when he was briefly alive, I'm pretty sure he was retired. I don't remember that for a fact. I'm gonna check that real quick. But just recently they have this line of comics. It's their new line of Ultimates, and it's an alternate universe. And Uncle Ben in that one, he actually in that version, he works at the newspaper with J. Jonah Jameson. But really all it is he's really only alive to give Peter that moral compass. You know, that's pretty much okay. According to this, what I'm looking it up, he was supposed to be a military police officer. So at one point in the timeline, he was a cop, but I don't know if that stuck. You know,
that kind of makes sense for him, admittedly.
Yeah, that's about it. I think even in like it's like a couple, usually he ends up as like a military policeman or something in that kind of, but most of the time when he's alive, it's not really relevant. But it's just interesting because he really wasn't given enough screen time to like do anything, and you can see like that kind of like whole moral compass thing, but it's done in a way where he's like where he's just kind of like, oh, you need to get out and live your life, Cassie, or like stuff like that, you know, or like not bitching when she drops 3 teenage girls on him in the middle of the night, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, yeah, there's just, I think that's just the thing is this movie gives almost every character so little to work with. And like, again, it's just a bad script.
There's only one character I can say I feel like his performance is just genuinely bad. Because everyone else, it is like, I just think it's a bad script. How do you make this work? But I feel a little bad calling out one guy, but we're doing it. Tahar Rahim, is that how you say his name? As Ezekiel. I thought he gave, I just like was laughing almost every time he opened his mouth. I just thought it was like the most awkward villain performance I've seen in a while.
I just think it's just kind of like the way they like executed the premise of him as just was extremely silly.
And I do think the script is working against him too, but it's like, I feel him like trying to commit to this role almost. I feel him like trying to get like straight-faced, and he's taking it very seriously, but it's just like, oh god, it's like,
dude, you're in Madam Web.
it's like, it's not working. I can't even like looking at his catalog, I don't even recognize most of the other stuff he did. Samba, I heard good things about. It wasn't even Samba. I'm thinking of a different movie.
He was in a movie called A Prophet. That was his real like breakthrough. It was like a French Arabic language movie. I was a little like, I saw it in like early college and I was a little bored by it, but like that was like his big claim to fame, and that's how he is popular enough to be in a movie like Madam Web.
Mm.
And I mean, he, from what I remember, was pretty good in that.
Mm-hmm. The only other person that said it's maybe worth mentioning is his assistant, played by Zosia Mamet, who, I mean, look, I again, she doesn't have much to do in this movie. I think she's one of the better performances because she also doesn't have anything that outrageously bad. She's just kind of the person on the computer throughout the movie. Looking at her track record, she's mainly been in good stuff. She was in Under the Silver Lake. She was in Mad Men, which I heard is great. I know my parents both really enjoyed The Flight Attendant, which she was in. Girls, I've heard good things about that sitcom. I think it's a sitcom at least. Maybe it's not.
I've heard nothing but good things about Mad Men, so
she's probably good. I think I remember seeing her in Under the Silver Lake, which is a great movie. But yeah, I mean,
with Spider-Man. Also, Sydney Sweeney was in that movie.
Was she really?
She was. Sydney Sweeney's been around actually like a kind of long time. She was in John Carpenter's last movie, which was shot in like 2010.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't know
Although
that.
she was like probably a child star then.
Yeah, a couple of Under the Silver Lake actors. Only two, but then yeah, Andrew Garfield is also in that, and he's Spider-Man himself.
I do think it's worth bringing up, like with her and then the villain in this, that like he kills someone to get access to like NSA technology, and it's like really advanced surveillance for like 2003. I even remember Olivia being like, that camera exists in 2003, and it's like, good question, actually. I'm not sure.
It's clearly like some things are more technologically advanced than others, but it's also a movie that's not really interested in like communicating that in an efficient way. What I mean by that is I'll bring up Fantastic Four for the millionth time. I saw the new one in theaters, and they do kind of communicate the world's technology pretty well just by showing, hey, we're still doing television with film, but there's flying cars around, and you accept that. Yeah, it's fun. It's not a bad thing. It's a fun quirk of this universe. That technology has advanced severely in some ways, in other ways they're still behind. Or they're just, it's like if it's the 50s, then hey, it's just, this is what it was like then. And it feels like this movie's trying to do the same thing, but it's not like bringing attention to it. It's not like, it feels almost like, it does almost feel like more of an oversight than an intentional choice for like style.
Yeah, where it very deliberately seems to go out of its way to like bring up things from the 2000s, like, oh yeah, like this is the old Pepsi logo. Oh look, we're listening to Toxic by Britney Spears. We have Blockbuster. But then also like not really doing much else to enforce this like sense of it, you know?
Yeah, no, like they keep mentioning like 2000s signifiers, but then they there's not really, they don't really commit to it.
The Martha Stewart comment was kind of funny.
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny.
They do handle the NSA better than War of the Worlds.
Most movies handle most. I may have said this when we were watching the fucking movie. Actually, I'm getting deja vu. Most movies handle most things better than the new War of the Worlds did.
No, Michael, you're having a vision.
I am like genuinely blown away by how bad that movie is. I think it might.
I would rather watch War of the Worlds than this. Frankly, it's
funny.
Way funnier.
Oh, it's hilarious. I mean, that's the thing. I love I love the new War of the Worlds. It's like I laughed my ass off watching it. I am amazed by how fucking bad it is. It is one of those where it's like, everything you did everything wrong in a funny way. They don't do a single thing correctly in that movie. They don't do a single thing correctly. I'm surprised they didn't I'm surprised they hit record successfully. Jesus Christ.
Do we have anything else to say about Madam Web?
Looking forward to that sequel.
Oh, yeah, no, really. I think this movie is just so it's just so bland that it just kind of just is like, yeah, that happened.
But it also it does a lot of weird things that you wouldn't expect it to do. They do surf Dracula Madam Web a little bit because apparently in the comics she's supposed to be blind and she doesn't get blind till the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It feels like that would be an interesting part of her character that you could explore in a movie about her.
But also, no one knows Madam Web well enough for that to be oh, she's blind now, just like in the comics. No one has read the comics. What are you talking about?
And I'm just gonna say, this is, I guess the thing with this movie is it's playing by those early 2000s superhero movie rules where they kind of just did what they wanted and kind of vaguely just kind of pulled stuff that they needed. You know, I kind of feel...
I remember when the Sonic 3 trailer came out, I was messaging Cass about, how it's weird that, I was excited for it, but it's weird that they're making Gerald into this, kind of comic relief villain. And then Cass's response was now you know how me and Olivia feel for all these comic book movies coming out. Because they do stuff like that all the time, too. Where they just change a character drastically. And I am thinking to myself, if they ever told me one day, we're making a Fang movie, my immediate response after watching shit like Madam Web would be why? Wait, what? What are you doing? No.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagine all the Madam Web fans, which is probably a smaller demographic of people hearing this movie, and some of them getting excited, and another group being wait, no, this isn't a well-known thing. You're not going to treat this well. What are you doing with this? No, stop. It would be that response.
No, exactly.
That happens when Sony gets the rights to some of the Sonic villains, but not Sonic himself.
I kind of would want to see a universe where they'd have to tap dance around the entire fact that Sonic the Hedgehog exists. It's a lot more of in the first movie where they talk about the Blue Devil and they got the poster with Sanic on it. It's a lot more of that across a span of movies.
It would be. That would 100% be what they did.
Now, unlike the other failed universe we talked about, we aren't covering the whole Sony-verse in this episode. And I do think it's worth talking about, what else is in the Sony, because it's not much. It's 3 Venom films and Morbius. And, Venom, none of the 3 Venom films, I think, really make sense to just, take in isolation and throw them into a matchup like this. The second one is easily the best one. 1 and 3, I think it's kind of a toss-up which one is better. Because 3 has more of, the silly Venom antics you would want from a Venom movie. But the story is kind of all over the place, where the first movie has a bit more of a coherent story as compared to the third film.
Can I ask you two something about Morbius?
Sure.
Yep.
This is kind of going off of because I never saw Morbius, but I don't know if have both of you seen Morbius?
No.
Okay, well, tell me if you remember the trailer at least, where I remember like there was a little bit of hype around the Morbius trailer because it's a specific shot where Spider-Man is painted onto the wall, like a wall of a city street, and someone spray painted over it "Traitor," and a lot of people paired that with the ending of Far From Home, where Spider-Man's unmasked as Peter Parker, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh my God, they're going to connect these. They're going to bring the Sony-verse and the MCU together," which they did in the most minor way. They did like even the Venom tease was like kind of a fuck yeah.
I really truly believe there was supposed to be something bigger there, but that just fell apart.
No, okay, here's the weird thing, right? Cause we're calling these movies the Sony-verse, but they do nothing to connect themselves to each other. There is nothing connecting these films outside of, like, the Daily Bugle newspaper.
The common cornerstone of
And
Spider-Man.
there is, frankly, more crossover with the MCU, because, yeah, there's Venom 2's post-credit scene is him ending up in the MCU because of what happens in No Way Home, and then the No Way Home post-credit scene is him in the MCU and going back to the Sony-verse. But then also, in Morbius, there's a post-credit scene where fucking Michael Keaton as the Vulture from the MCU ends up in the Sony-verse. So they're like setting up Michael Keaton's Vulture being in the Sony-verse.
Oh wow.
And so those are its connections to the MCU. Meanwhile, like obviously the 3 Venom films connect, but then like there's no connection between those 3 and any of the 3 other Sony-verse movies.
No, that is true.
I feel like they just need to take a second to like look back and say like, do we have any idea what the fuck we're doing? Because it doesn't feel like they did. It doesn't feel like they did at all. It felt like they were making this up as they went along, and it kept going poorly, and they kept doing it that way anyway.
And that's maybe why it's dead now.
It died quick.
Because they weren't really thinking this through that way. I mean,
Gonna be honest, they didn't die. This did not die quick enough, dude.
of those movies I list, of the 6 movies in this franchise, 3 of them came out in 2024.
Yeah. And the other 3 are Venom. Right? Or did Morbius 2023? I forgot.
Morbius was
I want to say it was 2022.
before that.
I want to say 2022 really bad
Was
for
it
Morbius.
really?
It
Well,
was
yeah,
like,
Morbius was 22, Venom 1 was 2018, and Venom 2 was 2021.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot there was a new Venom movie last year. I feel like Venom, the 3rd Venom movie, wasn't nearly as hyped up as the... But it's probably because they were done with this, like, fucking universe. That's probably why. I don't remember hearing... I remember hearing there was a 3rd Venom movie out and was like, well, I didn't hear much about that. That's surprising.
The thing is, the 3rd Venom movie, I think, is kind of hinting at what the future of the Sony-verse might have been, because they set up Null, this, like, dark world creature who created all the symbiotes and wants revenge on them for turning on him, and Eddie and Venom have formed this like key that will release him, but he never actually gets out in that movie. There's like the opening scene establishing him, he gets mentioned a few times in the film, and then there's a post-credit scene where he's like, "Oh, Venom, I'll get my revenge." So it's like, okay, I feel like they're setting up Null as, like, the big bad for the Sony-verse, but then they just canceled the Sony-verse, like, within a year of that movie coming out, so Null never actually does anything. His name is Null after all of the stuff he gets to do in these movies.
Olivia, I am so glad you're on for this episode. This is shit going in one ear and out the other for me. Holy shit.
Oh, you're good.
This fucking universe
also,
shit.
Hold on. The thing is, and spoilers for Venom 3, this is like major spoilers for Venom 3, they end by killing the Venom symbiote. And it's implied that he's gonna come back, but because the universe is now dead, no, he's not. It just ends with him dead.
Well, that's fucking tragic. Here's some wild shit about Venom that kind of backs that up. First off, Venom has been able to regenerate from very small parts, especially because a couple times in the comics they pulled this thing of like, oh, the symbiote's not attached to Eddie anymore. And then surprise, surprise, he's like, he comes back and he's like, hi, Eddie, I was still in your blood, blah, you know? And okay, fun fact about Null, they did not, the two guys who created Null did not know he was going to be in Venom 3 until the trailer came out. Which is just a whole nother conversation. But I guess apparently later they were reached out to and like everything was smoothed over. But it's still just, it's like, it's such a glaring, it's a whole issue in like comic industry about like character ownership, but that's besides the point. Just Null was the biggest example of this. And also Venom has been so huge in the comics right now, especially. And then this whole thing with Null, it gave rise to this whole arc called The King in Black, which I believe was from 2018, 2019, something like that, which was this whole thing of like Null could control the symbiotes and he was trying to basically infect the world, and he can, and it was a big deal in the comics. And like I think I made this joke, but yeah, for a while he was Marvel's prettiest princess because he kept showing up. Same with like Venom and all the symbiotes, because like a lot of symbiote storylines came out within the last like 10 years. So yeah, it makes sense to me that they would build him up as this big bad antagonist for the Sony-verse, or at least for Venom, but it just kind of sounds like too little too late.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Morbius was supposed to appear in Marvel movies way sooner than what we got.
Interesting.
He is actually, yeah, fun fact, there is a deleted scene from the original Blade movie which features a man in a dark coat on a rooftop watching Blade, and Blade sees him, and that was actually supposed to be that, and that man is actually the director in a trench coat, but he is standing in to play Morbius, and that is supposed to be Morbius on the roof, and Blade 2 was supposed to have this whole plot about Morbius and Blade having to work together. None of this was ever used.
Might have made for a better third movie. Because Blade Trinity is ass. But Blade 2 is really good, actually. It's like a Guillermo del Toro movie. I actually really like Blade 2.
I need to go back and watch Blade 2. I've seen the first one. I need to go and watch 2 and 3, even though I know I've heard 3 is ass.
It's the reason I say Green Lantern is not even the second worst comic book movie Ryan Reynolds is in.
Yeah. Oh, I thought everyone just said that because of his first appearance as Deadpool.
Okay, like Deadpool is probably his worst appearance, but then Blade Trinity, probably his second worst comic book movie appearance. Worse than Green Lantern. I didn't think the Green Lantern movie was that bad. Like, it's not good, but like, I don't know, 5 out of 10, middle of the road. I don't know why people hated it so much.
I don't know why either. People really dog on that movie. It was doing its fucking best. I think the only complaint I really hear people do is like the CG. Like, the story could have used a few kinks straightened out, but like mostly the CG is what I hear people complain about. And even then, that's not horrible for the time it came out.
Anyway, Olivia, would you like to introduce Kraven the Hunter? We've been recording for over an hour. Christ.
I apologize, guys. Like, I am so sorry. But yeah, let me get right into it. So, Kraven the Hunter is a 2024 movie. It's directed by J.C. Chandor, and it has a couple different people writing the screenplay, which is concerning, but that's not important right now. The important part is this movie is about the story of Sergei Kravenov, aka Kraven the Hunter. It follows his journey as he becomes the infamous hunter, trying to avoid his fate of becoming a cruel man like his father, but just ending up kind of diving right into it. During a hunting expedition, he is met with a tragic accident tracking a lion and trying to protect his little brother Dmitri from it. He is nearly killed, but saved by a miraculous potion, and where he then gets these miraculous animal-like abilities. He then uses these abilities to become the greatest hunter of, anything that needs to be hunted, specifically criminals. And it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The best way for me to explain this is it just is Kraven trying to avoid his fate and just kind of bumbling right straight into it. And that's the best way I can explain it, because I can't even lie to you. I got really lost a couple of somewhere through the movie.
This one was kind of all over the place. He's going up against the Rhino because the Rhino kidnapped his brother, but there's also this character called the Foreigner, and I don't really know what relevance he has to all of this.
It's something usurping a criminal empire, kind of.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, mostly that's it. It's like Alexis, aka who's the Rhino, and then the Foreigner. I guess it's this whole thing of them trying to usurp Kraven's father, Nikolai's criminal empire. And
yeah,
it's just done in a way that's like, I can't lie to you guys. I was fighting for my life, like between me trying to hear the dialogue and then me trying to stay awake during the latter half of the movie. Holy shit.
Yeah, I started talking about Nostalgia Critic a lot at a point. Because I just didn't...
No, yeah, we were kind of talking through a lot of this movie because it got really boring in places. Which I'm sure didn't help with following all the nonsense that's going on with this fucking plot.
But it all came down to the same shit. It's a story about his like, not only are they trying to establish all these villains that they could potentially use in later movies, but it's also about his family. It's about his relationship with his brother. It's about his relationship with his father. Movie ends, the brothers are in horrible terms. Kraven essentially kills his father. Like, that's what it's all built into. That's the whole point of it was. And you know what? Maybe in a better written movie, those would be satisfying payoffs. But as what it is, it's just boring. It's so boring. It's so fucking boring. I do think it's more competently made than Madam Web. I thought there were some shots that looked really nice. The CG isn't much better. You compared it to Twilight at one point, man. I have to agree from watching Twilight with the sisters.
It's because he's, like, jumping around with, like, a deer in the woods.
Yeah.
And it really, like, it's supposed to be Russia, but it looks like the Twilight Woods.
No, yeah.
The movie jumps settings in a really confusing way of where it's, like, sometimes you're in Africa, sometimes it's not, and it's like, okay, where are we right now?
Mostly it's in Russia, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you for sure. And it's like, and yeah, it does remind me of Twilight too, because of like the entire physicality of the way that he's supposed to be moving, especially when he's climbing. I had that flashback of the hold on spider monkey scene, and I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah, no, he moves like a Twilight character.
Yeah.
When he's like jumping and climbing the trees.
And the eye thing didn't help. Like when they're like, oh, he's using his lion powers, and then his eyes turn that like goldish color, and I'm just like, oh shit, we're doing this again. You guys were right. There are some nice shots in this. And I will give it credit as someone who reads the comics. I like the way they handled the relationship between Sergei and Dmitri, aka Kraven and the Chameleon. I thought they did that well, which I will give credit to above Madam Web.
I will give it credit in the sense that I didn't love it, but I mean also I don't know the original characters like you do, but I will say it is definitely a part of the movie that felt focused. There's a very clear beginning, middle, and end with that. There is their initial relationship. There is that little bit of like rough, like there's a bit of rough patches as they're like reuniting for the first time in a long time, seeing how much they've changed, but also there's a little bit of optimism about where they're going to be as brothers. It does seem like there's a chance that these two are going to end off on good terms, and that final scene almost paints the idea that they are on good terms until they keep talking, and it's like, no, this is what your brothers become, this is what you're becoming. It is probably the most interesting part of the movie in terms of character dynamic.
I always wanted a brother.
Oh God.
They do have the CGI lion.
They
at the
do have
beginning.
the
Looks
CGI
exactly
lion. Yep.
like Mufasa.
Yup, there we go. Except I'm pretty sure the lion in this movie could take the CGI lions from Mufasa. Not as far as realism goes, but definitely in how fucking big they made this thing.
They did make it pretty big.
But it's
Wait, he's like jacked.
this is a buff ass lion. But no, it's like one of those things of, the relationship between the brothers is not perfect, but at least I kind of bought it more than, like, Madam Web and, like, the Spider Girls or the Spider Women, you know? Where, like, the bonding there felt forced. Where in this one, it feels more organic, but that's by barely.
I mean, I kind of think the two of them bonding is one of the better parts of the movie.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I feel like Madam Web is like, there's parts where it's almost like hitting so bad it's good levels, but it doesn't like stay there consistently enough to be entertaining throughout. While Kraven is just kind of like, I've seen superhero movies just like this that bored me just as much as this one is. You know, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
It's not one of the worst things I've ever seen, but I'm just left with it with, like, almost no impression. Like, if I had to pick one to watch again, I probably would pick Madam Web. That doesn't mean I think Madam Web is a better movie. I just probably, there's, like, I don't know, there's, like, so little for me to enjoy about Kraven. It's just, like I said, it's just a boring movie to me. But, I mean, I do think it has some form of competence that I think is missing from Madam Web, because again, I don't even think Madam Web is edited well. Like, I don't think it's put together well. Even if you ignore the writing and the acting and the dialogue, all of that, it's just, I just think that, I just think it's like a poorly constructed movie, where Kraven, at the very least, it's not like outstanding, but I mean, it's edited better, there's some good shots in there, CG animals look rough, but I mean,
The landscape,
looked better than the fucking CG they used for the Madam Web dream sequences. That's for sure.
That's true. It was a better waste. It was a better use of their time.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, the biggest issue I take with this movie, and this is something I've had it with it from the beginning, is they're like, oh, we're trying to play it that Kraven's not a villain. You guys gotta understand, Kraven in the comics is an absolute psychopath.
And that would be lame. That would be lame. That is a lame point against this movie. That's like, yeah, they're not really adapting the character, are they?
No, they're really not, because, like, here's the thing, because I only told you guys about, like, oh yeah, there was one time he buried Spider-Man alive, wore the suit, and pretended to be Spider-Man successfully for a week before Spider-Man pulled his ass up and went and beat Kraven. And even then, I don't remember if he beat Kraven. I think Kraven got bored, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember 150%. But the thing is Kraven is an incredibly twisted individual. Because in a lot of his comic appearances, he is chasing death. He only wants something more powerful than him to kill him. And even then, that's not even all the time. There's, like, a lot of really weird things they could have done with his family dynamic. Because later in the comics, we see he has a wife and children, and they're just as fucked up as he is. Because they're all, like, all about the hunt and, like, honor and all this whole thing. But it's really in a really twisted way of, like, yes, they honor nature, but they also are, like, way obsessed with it, you know? It's really, do you guys kind of get what I'm getting at? It's really hard for me to explain. Like,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
I get it.
On the list of fucked up things Kraven has done, besides,
I'm familiar a little with Kraven the Hunter.
I just get what you're saying in the sense of, like, something severely toning down a character, because I've seen other examples of that where it's like, I mean, I guess a good example I learned of that, like, and I mean, like, this is just the first one that comes to mind. It's probably not the best example because it's more of, like, the main character of the series, but, like, The Mask is a good example of that. The Mask is, like, how the movie is actually good for The Mask, but it's also, like, what the character actually was versus what they turned it into. Yeah, it's like a cleansing
Yeah.
of like a character with like some truly evil actions or truly insane actions. I get it.
Yeah, but
See, I was gonna reference our other cinematic universe episode and say, like, Dracula Untold, they do this weird thing where they try to make Dracula the good guy at the end. Not that, like, Dracula has never been good in any incarnation, but, like, it seems so awkward and forced in that movie.
Right.
yeah, like, because they're like, oh, yeah, he's not evil, so that way she can, their relationship is valid. It's not weird at all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, no, Kraven in this version is absolutely toothless. And I would forgive it, honestly, if when he was with people...
He has a tooth on his necklace.
Well, that's the only bite he's got, except for that one guy who got it in the eye. But there was, I'm like, okay, that's kind of that's more of what I was kind of thinking. But, like, I guess in my head, like, Kraven, when he's in public with humans, he's extremely charismatic. He's bored, he doesn't want to be there, but he's got, like, presence,
Yeah.
But
when we
like,
started watching the movie, you mentioned that he's like normally kind of seen as like the smug billionaire character.
yeah, he's very wealthy and like charismatic, so he can get away with a lot of the bullshit he does,
This guy, the character in this movie screams, "I love the environment."
Yeah, because it's one of those things of like, I get it, hunting not as popular as it ever used to be, but
He does fight poachers in this.
yeah, which, I'm give you the brownie points for that. Poaching sucks, but it's like, I feel like Kraven wouldn't be insulted that you did it just because you could. He would be insulted that you didn't like respect the animal, or that you didn't take everything, or that you came at it like, like, oh, you used poisoned arrows, you're a bitch, or something like that, even though he uses poison on humans. But that's besides the point. I don't know. I just, something about, like, yeah, I totally get what you guys mean. Like, the movie is way, way more visually striking as far as, like, design, shots, like, the whole balance of it. But it's just,
Yeah, I mean, it's better made than Madam Web.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean a whole lot when it's not at all better written than Madam Web.
right. I was gonna say, do you guys want to talk about the cast at all, or...
We should.
Yeah, let's talk about who's in this.
Russell Crowe.
I am so hung up on Russell Crowe being in this movie.
Okay, start with Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe cracks me the fuck up in this, and it's like not. It's not like it's like association with other things that is making me laugh. I kept thinking of this fucking South Park show song, like making movies, making music, and fighting around the world. Like that's just
that is kind of his character in this, though. He wants to fight everyone.
No, yeah, like he's such a bastard, but I can't get past it being Russell Crowe. I don't know why this was such an issue for me.
That is what made it funny for me.
He's the one return actor in this, because he was in our previous discussion about failed cinematic universe. He was in The Mummy.
Yeah.
As Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh my god.
Russell Crowe is just one of those actors where he's good in some stuff. He's absolutely like good in some stuff, but he is just such an easy actor for me to laugh at.
I think he's the best part of this movie, and it might entirely be because he's funny, but, like, I don't know, he's the one I enjoyed the most in this film.
There's lines that are supposed to be dramatic that I'm just laughing at when he's like, "Oh, I'll be going to Mom's funeral. We don't give funerals to people who end their own lives." It's just like, yeah, I get it. I'm supposed to hate this guy. I get it, movie. You already made it fucking clear within the first 20 seconds of him being on screen. He's a bastard. I'm supposed to hate him. Good job.
No, he's such a... It is just so funny how much of a bastard he is. It's not... Like, I feel like it would... If they had just kind of played up this idea that he is supposed to be, like, scary, I guess, like that he's supposed to, because it's like they kind of hinted that where Dimitri's like, you're gonna leave me alone with him, like where there's supposed to be like where we're supposed to be worried about it, but he's just kind of a jackass,
Yeah, like, you even brought up like You even brought up a point when we were watching Olivia. It's like, well, his son just slammed the door in his face. Why isn't he, considering who he is, why isn't he like,
Yeah, I would think
why
this
isn't
man
he
would
like
be
busting the door down? Like, yeah, he's like a drunk, alcoholic, abusive father.
Yeah, it's like you're telling me that a man who locked away their mother wouldn't, and wouldn't give her a funeral because she committed suicide, that this man wouldn't come in and just beat the ever-living shit out of his son. I don't care if his son is a whole-ass teenager. He would just come in and I would just convince he would beat his ass.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I liked the ending with him, where Kraven kills him with a bear.
That was funny.
And he's out in the wilderness with the typical Russian camping gear. 6 guns, 2 cases of beer, and a bottle of vodka. Standard Russian camping equipment.
That or Oral's dad.
Oh, yeah, I did make the parallel to Oral's dad, because they're, like, camping, and he's this drunk asshole who wants to shoot his son.
Oh my god.
Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kraven the Hunter, after also playing Quicksilver in the MCU in Age of Ultron, and playing Kick-Ass in the movie Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Have you seen Kick-Ass? That's a good movie.
It is a very good
not,
movie.
Actually.
I think you would like it.
I probably would. I've heard good things about the first one, at least.
Yeah, I
The
couldn't.
first one's fun. I haven't seen the second one. I've heard mixed things. Jim Carrey's in it.
Really?
Oh my god, guys, he's in Nosferatu. He's also in Nosferatu.
Oh yeah, he was also in Nosferatu.
Wait,
the
Jim
new
Carrey?
Nosferatu. No, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, okay. Did you say
He's-
Jim Carrey at any point? Where am I like...
Jim Carrey was in Kick-Ass too. Sorry.
Okay. That confused me. Okay, great, go.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson is like Nicholas Holt's best friend in Nosferatu.
That's
The
funny.
guy whose wife dies.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he doesn't do bad in this film, honestly. He's not, like, horribly cast as Kraven the Hunter, frankly. Just, again, like, it's a movie that doesn't give him anything to work with.
I agree. I don't think he's too bad. There's things where his actions work pretty well, like the way he's reacting to something physically, and that is part of acting, where it's fully believable. And then when you give him lines, it's like, well, we're back to this film's script.
Yeah. He's gonna make a joke about, like, oh, Ariana DeBoe's in this, fresh off her Best Supporting Actress win. Then I looked at the other stuff she's in, and it's this, Argyle, and Wish, and it's like, wow, you have not used that Oscars energy well.
And before that, she was in Hamilton, which that was a pretty major Broadway thing, like Broadway shows are pretty beloved. I mean, people, Broadway is still around for a reason, but Hamilton is like one of the most popular things from Broadway in probably a really long time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hamilton is just huge right now. And
It's about to get a theater release of just the stage show, not even like a film version. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to happen eventually, but it's like just the stage show is going to be shown in theaters soon.
yeah, it's a 10-year reunion tour, which is crazy. Actually, it's funny. I was just looking at it. I guess DeBose was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress for this movie.
Really?
Huh. She's not the worst thing about this film.
Yeah, I was gonna say that seems really harsh.
I don't even think she's that bad in it. It's just, again, going off of the script they gave her. She's not good, but it's not her. I don't even blame. It's the same with Madam Web. I don't blame her.
Yeah.
What is there? I think it's the same thing as Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's like, it's not good, but, the performance could hypothetically be good if you were given a fucking script that wasn't complete shit.
Yeah. Not to mention, she already had kind of an uphill battle because the character she's adapting is a little bit rough. Because Calypso is a supervillain who is primarily a voodoo priestess. She's in the comics. She's occasionally she works with Kraven sometimes. Like sometimes they were lovers. But the biggest thing is it's just like voodoo is already like super misunderstood in media. And then, like, having this character who's, like, extremely manipulative and stuff, like, it's already going to be tough when they're not giving her a lot at all to work with.
I'm looking at her original outfit, and I gotta say, they fucked up not giving her the eyes on the tits.
Yeah, that was
This
yeah.
is a great outfit. I love this outfit.
Oh yeah, the Todd McFarlane. It matches Kraven's now that I'm looking at it.
Christopher Abbott, you mentioned when we were watching, he was familiar and didn't know what from. And I mentioned It Comes at Night, but he was also in Poor Things.
Yeah, as the foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
They shove a lot of characters in. Like Calypso, I guess makes sense because she seems to be like pretty associated with Kraven. But then they're like, here's the Rhino, and also the foreigner, and also the Chameleon, who I guess is also his brother-in-law. Those three, like him, Calypso, and Chameleon, make sense. But then it's like, also here's the Rhino and the foreigner.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
thrown into this movie.
the Rhino is probably only here because he's Russian. That is probably the only reason why they shoved him into this movie.
They made better use of him than Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's
No, yeah, they did.
the thing is, like, Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, sets up a Sinister Six movie, and then that never happened, and it's like, why not just do that for the Sony-verse? Like, who gives a shit about Morbius or Kraven? Just do a Sinister Six movie.
We just watched the fucking Batman movie, the really old one.
Batman 66.
Yeah, I mean, they just paired the villains up immediately. It was great. They didn't have to give them each their own movie to hype them up. They're just like, hey,
I mean,
here's
at that
Joker,
point,
Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler. Just go at it.
At that point, season 1 was already out of the show.
No, stop. You're making my point not work.
I mean, it does still kind of work. Like, they didn't really bother introducing any of those villains.
The bottom line is they could have done it that way, and it would have been fine.
So I was looking ahead. You know how you mentioned Christopher Abbott as the character, the foreigner?
Yes.
They souped him up. Because this foreigner is just a spy in normal comics. He is the only thing he is most relevant for is being married to the assassin, the Silver Sable, who is like a way bigger character in Marvel, who's worked with Spider-Man and stuff.
So he doesn't have the weird time manipulation power the character in this has.
You know, he shows up a lot across the Marvel universe because he is... I'm reading more, and yeah, he can do the whole thing. He can place according to this on Wikipedia, it says he possesses a near mystic ability to place an opponent in a 10-second hypnotic trance through eye contact. So that's a thing he does.
Is that what was happening? Because it wasn't entirely clear what he was doing during that countdown.
No, yeah, they don't explain it well, but what it is it makes the opponent believe that Foreigner can move faster. So that's why they're just standing there, is because he's like, they're in a trance. So he just basically can just walk over and kill them, and they'll be like, oh my god, he was moving so fast. And it was just, you were just on pause, my friend. You know?
Okay, that checks out a little more.
But yeah, but you shouldn't have to look that up to figure that out.
Yeah, it's not well established in the film.
Now, why do I know the guy's name? Did we already talk about the guy who played Chameleon?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna butcher this man's name. Fred Heikinger?
Sure.
I don't know.
Heichner.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just looking it up. I guess like the things he was in the coming of age drama, 8th grade. The most recent thing he was in.
Movie.
Yeah, the period drama News of the World. The most recent was The Woman in the Window, which was, and then he was in White Lotus and the Fear Street trilogy.
I've seen the Fear Street trilogy. I don't necessarily remember him from that.
Oh, I guess the most recent thing he was in before Kraven was Gladiator 2.
Which didn't have Russell Crowe, I don't think. Actually.
Did it have Russell? I don't know. Now I'm sitting here wondering. I don't know. No. It doesn't look like it.
So that is kind of funny that he's in the sequel to the Russell Crowe movie that Russell Crowe is not in, and in this he's playing Russell Crowe's son.
Oh, that's weird. What a weird little circle that made.
You know what I was thinking? like moving away from cast a little bit. I was thinking during this, I'm like, you know who would do a really good job with like what they're trying to do with this film is just like any prominent Bollywood director. Like there was some stuff in this that felt very Bollywood. I'm like, a Bollywood director would fucking knock this out of the park.
That would be way more interesting, I think. Like the film style for Bollywood with Kraven would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if they could pull off that like really crazy like all out action of like, I don't know, get the guy who did like RRR to make this movie. It'd be so much better. It is probably worth mentioning Sony-verse. They've got some women in there. Madam Web was directed by S.J. Clarkson, who is a lady, and also Venom 3 was directed by a woman, Kelly Marcel. So shout out to the Sony-verse for getting 2 women in there.
You are already, congratulations, Sony. You at least beat, I think, both Warner Brothers and Marvel in that regard, I believe.
Okay, Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984 were both directed by the same woman? So it is still 2 women directed, it's just the same woman both times.
I'm gonna go find out how many female directors have worked in Marvel right now. I don't think any.
It's so weird because Patty Jenkins made a movie in 2003 called Monster, which is phenomenal. And then she just did television for years and years and years, and then she got the Wonder Woman movies.
I can't even lie. I thought the first Wonder Woman movie was pretty darn good. I really liked it. The second one bugs me.
I've heard bad things about the second one.
It's like
I don't agree with like our old friend Tim on much, but I agree with his assessment of Wonder Woman where he's like, and Wonder Woman was fine, and that's it. I'm like, yeah, no, decent movie, 6, maybe 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I remember like in the old, back in the old days when we did Duckcast still, the cast and Olivia were both on for an episode that Tariq, my friend Tariq, was also on, and you guys got into it on Wonder Woman. And I love Tariq, Olivia, but I can admit he can, if he disagrees with you on a movie, he can get in your face about it.
oh my god!
But I remember that.
Oh my god! Yeah, I don't. That happened.
It wasn't that bad. It was just like you defended the movie, and Tariq definitely argued. But
for the first Wonder Woman or for 84?
For the first one.
Okay, no, I do remember that now that you mention it, and I will still defend the first one, but I haven't
seen it. I'll watch it eventually. My cousins Sam and Rachel defended it, and they recently told me about it. I was like, okay, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I've heard 3 people say it's good now, so maybe I'll check it out.
It's okay. The thing with that one is I feel like that one gets shit because it's a period piece. I really think that's a big part of people's problem with it, because I kind of feel like whenever a superhero movie gets put as a period piece, I feel like people are more likely to be like, I don't like it, but I don't know. I also have to take back what I said. No, sorry, Sony. Apparently, there are more female directors who worked on Marvel stuff than I thought. Marvel one. Because they had Nia DaCosta direct the Marvels. They had Kate Shortland for Black Widow.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao, I know, did the Eternals.
Yeah, and then DC also had Kathy Yan for Birds of Prey, if you count that one.
All right.
But yeah, so it's just like...
I mean, if it is just those 3 for the MCU, I do think Sony is beating them percentage-wise.
No, percentage-wise, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, there you have it. More female directors in the MCU. The one other thing I think is worth mentioning about Kraven the Hunter is that it was set for release in, like, late 2023, and then it just didn't come out for, like, another year.
I was so confused. I thought I totally gaslit myself into believing I had just forgotten the release date.
Yeah, you were like, I remember that, like, having a release date in 2023, but I must have been wrong. And I'm like, no, they changed it. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember it was set for release in, like, late 23, and then they pushed it back, like, almost a full year. Which is probably why it did fucking horrible at the box office. I mean, I didn't have high hopes for it already, but, like, then it didn't come out when they said it was gonna come out. And didn't come out for an entire other year, and it's like, yeah, no shit, this did bad at the box office.
Yeah, no, that's brutal.
I think we are at the end of, unless you two have something else to say about these movies.
Oh no, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Alright, Olivia, would you like to go first, or would you like to go last?
I would like to go last this time.
Okay. Michael, I guess you get first vote then, actually.
I don't know. I'm gonna give it to Kraven just because I think it's better made, and I don't think that Madam Web is funny enough to put it over the edge in terms of like, oh, it's so bad, it's good. But I think picking Madam Web over Kraven, I really think this is a pair up where the answer. I'm sorry to be a downer. The answer doesn't matter. I don't. If this is one I lose finally, because I don't lose that often on all the victories. Normally either Matt agrees with me, which is most frequent, or the audience agrees with me. But I'm willing to take a loss on this one because I just don't care. I'm gonna say Kraven is slightly better than Madam Web, not by a lot. These are both incredibly forgettable,
Michael,
boring movies.
I'm disagreeing with you. I would rather watch Madam Web again. Is the thing, because it's like at least kind of funny bad. Like,
this one had a Russell Crowe, so it's
both
also
are
kind
just
of funny bad.
Both are just bad. Both are kind of boring, but I think Madam Web, it gives me a little more to work with. There's a little more funny there. There's a little more for me to laugh at with Madam Web.
It's not enough for me, but that's fair.
So congratulations, Olivia. You get to be tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Woo! Olivia, don't you fucking dare to vote against me. I have a winning streak to keep up.
Oh, man.
Pressure's on, Olivia!
I should have... Oh, man. I knew I should... After I said it, I knew I should have gone first. Shit. Okay. Look, like I said... I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Michael. I really am. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I don't want to ruin your streak. But it's like, if I'm really going to pick between which one am I more likely to rewatch, I'm going to go with Madam Web. I told you, I was fighting for my fucking life watching Kraven, and it's one of those things of it just, to me, as a comic book reader, like, it just completely misses the point of Kraven. Madam Web isn't great by any means necessary, but at least there's something I can be like, okay, that's a little bit fun.
This is something that needs to be fact-checked, but for the longest time, I thought I only lost... I thought I only lost one episode, which was Serenity versus Book of Henry, and then we did a live stream where Matt accidentally put Book of Henry up as the winner, and then that won a movie that lost its episode won the whole fucking gauntlet. And because of that we canceled out my one loss. Like that canceled out my one loss in Hall of Victories, and now this might be my new first loss.
I did retroactively recant your one loss previously, and honestly, you're only losing this one because it's a guest episode. If we didn't have Olivia on, you would be winning because the audience is with you. The audience said Kraven the Hunter.
Olivia, you cost me 4 years of doing the show. You cost me my only loss.
Oh my god. Is this Michael's villain origin story?
I'm gonna become Kraven Web. You know what? Of course, this would be the fucking episode that causes me a loss. An episode where I literally have nothing to say about either of these pieces of shit. I'm glad we're done with them.
I know, for all of us just dragging this out, I gotta wonder how much of this episode really is us talking about the movie. Both of these are such nothing burgers. Yeah.
I sometimes I think it's okay to get off topic. You know, it's fun.
Yeah. Madam Web wins! Woo! I'm calling this one a victory for Matt. I mean, usually we do agree. That's true. You and I agree on, like, most episodes.
It's so disappointing, too, because it's such a light disagreement that this is happening on. Like, I don't feel strongly about picking Kraven over Madam Web. It's like, it's just sad. It's just a sad day.
All right. Well, next, this was one to make fun of the studios. This was us, like, throwing up this is like a topical one. This one is relevant. We're making fun of the studios. Next episode is all for us, baby. This is a purely for us episode. It's Halloween, and I think it's time that the king return to his throne. So for Halloween, we're doing 2 horror movies whose only connection is that they both star Clint Howard.
Yeah!
It's 1981's Evil Speak versus 1995's The Ice Cream Man. I think that's a little significant. Clint Howard isn't usually a starring actor. So the fact that he starred in these 2 horror films, I think, is like a relevant reason to pair them up. Also, we love Clint Howard.
I think Clint Howard deserves the crown for the show more than it. Because here's the thing. Is it Sandler who has it now?
I think we gave it to Sandler in his episode.
Because here's the thing. Sandler is not good in every movie we've done. I think he does a decent job in some of them, maybe. But, like, not by a lot, but like Clint Howard has been good in everything we've talked about him in so far. He's been like the redeeming quality of most of them.
Not quite Rhapsody Street Kids, but all the other films he's been in.
I forgot that was one of them. I always forget that's one of them. You reminded me recently was one of them.
It's so weird that that's one of them too.
Oh, I'm excited for both of you.
Good old Clint Howard though. I he's like the perfect person to be the king of the show while also being someone that I respect.
Well, Olivia, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
We will link to your videos and this. I forgot to bring up the Spider-Man the Lost Spider-Man fan film with Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah,
that you talked about.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did on my segment Untold Stories. I talked about the Lost Spider-Man fan film of Spider-Man versus Kraven the Hunter. So that one is really interesting. It's from the 70s. It's like it's an interesting little piece of lost cinematic history there.
Almost definitely better than this film. I mean, it has to be better than this film. It's Lost, so I can't watch it, which makes it infinitely better than this Kraven the Hunter.
That would be cool to see that eventually, honestly.
I would like to see that one.
That's true.
All right. Until next time, for our guest Olivia Smashpack and for my co-host Makal Shadakal, I am Matt Presents. We will see you in the next one.
Hey, you revealed my name at the end. We got the reveal in there.
Hey.
Oh, I'm craving the hunter, alright.
I definitely thought the movie should have ended with him like cooking some animal he's caught, and then Calypso is like, I don't know what you're cooking, but I'm craving some good meat, and then he turns and he's like, wait, say that again.
I know that when you see Madam Web, you're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.